It's time for the Your Personal Bank Show with Ferenc Toth, president and founder of Secure Estate Management. Take charge of your financial future with your personal bank. Now, here's Ferenc Toth.
Welcome to Your Personal Bank Show. We're in for something a little different today. As you all know, I've been focusing on the Your Personal Bank concept, using insurance as an asset class, maximizing cash growth, tax favored, access to funds, all that good stuff. But, you know, as I've shared several times, and I've been sharing this more and more because we do a lot of different things. Okay. I've been in the financial industry 22 years. We offer a number of different products and solutions. And sometimes when I meet with somebody individually, they're somewhat surprised when I'll recommend another product or another tool. And they're like, I didn't know you did that. And so I've been helping people understand more that, yes, we do those other things. I primarily focus on the show, of course, on the Your Personal Bank concept because, as I've shared many times, the lack of knowledge out there about the personal bank concept, or the lack of folks actually even being introduced to the idea, is, in my opinion, appalling. Typically, my experience, I sit down, or I'll do a workshop, for example, to a number of investors. If I have 100 investors in the room, I'll ask the question, how many are familiar or looked at this concept, and I'll get 2 or 3 hands raised, typically. And so the lack of knowledge about the personal bank concept is, again, appalling. And that's why I'm trying to bring the information out there. In fact, a lot of you have responded, been intrigued by the idea, contacted me, looked into it further. Several have become clients. It's been a fun process, and that's the purpose of this show. But I've been asked to share what some of the other things, other tools that we bring attention to. And probably the next one I really need, the one that I need to bring attention to, and again, some people consider it, well, let's just put it this way. I've been in the financial industry 22 years. I've done a lot of business with annuities. Now, when I say annuities, some people are, taken aback by that. Now, not as much as it used to be. There's still a few out there that say annuities are bad, or this product is bad, or that product's bad, or you should do this. Here's the thing. This is one of my pet peeves, and I've shared this with folks for 22 years. Whether it be other advisors, individuals, whatever it may be. Financial tools are exactly that. They're a tool, okay? A hammer isn't good or bad. A hammer is designed to accomplish a specific purpose, okay? It drives nails, and it drives nails really well. But a hammer's not really good at cutting wood, is it? A saw does a way better job of cutting the wood. In other words, you wouldn't want to hammer a nail with a saw, and you wouldn't want to cut a piece of wood with a hammer, now would you? I mean, that's just logical. And my point is, when somebody says this is bad, or this is great, and makes these categorical statements, everyone should pay off their debt. It's straight up, just as a category statement. Do I think you should reduce debt? Sure. But the point is, what that person is doing, well, they're not giving advice, in my opinion. What they're doing is sharing their bias. And maybe for them and for certain people I talk to, that advice is good, could be great. But the answer in most cases is, what's good for you? The answer truly is, well, it depends. And it depends on a number of factors, like where are you at in your life, your financial life? What are your goals? What's your tax bracket? What's your income? There's so many, how much have you put away for retirement and various things. There's so many factors that go into it, and there's so many moving parts. I can't say Your Personal Bank categorically is good for you, or an annuity, or any other financial tool for that matter. But should you consider them or take a look at it? That I can say, yes, absolutely. You should at least consider it. And that's all I'm trying to say on the personal bank concept. Now, with annuities, I remember the days I started selling in the specific type that I really want to focus on are fixed index annuities, or equity index annuities. And I remember when they came out. See, I started in 96, I think. And I think, a year or two after I started when I first started, we just had fixed annuities. I did those initially. And then the index annuity came out. And it was a brand new idea, a new concept, just about for everybody. And initially, some people loved it. Others questioned it. A lot of people ran around saying they were bad for you and all these kinds of things. And over time, they've become mainstream and accepted. And now many of the big financial providers out there offer index annuities, and they've become a good thing, which is kind of funny. I was one of the early adopters, if you will. But what I knew about the advantage of the index annuity, there were several advantages that other financial products at the time and still today did not offer. And one of the biggest things that the index annuity offered was the ability to invest in your money in market-related type returns, but not have any losses. Now, just have that principal guaranteed. You know, for somebody nearing retirement or in retirement, that's powerful. You know, when you're young, you can ride the roller coaster, if you will, over time. You know, any financial advisor will tell you that. But when you're getting later in life, those losses hurt. In fact, those losses hurt a lot. And when you're taking money out from your portfolio, for example, and you're taking losses, they hurt doubly. It's like a double whammy. So to prevent or offset some of that is powerfully important. Now, before I get into what a fixed index annuity is, I really should back up a minute and share. And by the way, a little bit of my background experience. I mentioned 22 plus years. Some of those years, several of those years, I was in the top 10 producer in the nation with the number one or number two index annuity provider at the time, depending on which year or quarter you looked at. I was one of the top 10 or 20 individual producers for index annuities for a number of years. I've sold tens of millions of dollars of annuities to people over my career, and in most cases, tremendous advantage for them because we accomplished what their goal was at the time. Even though in the earlier days it wasn't necessarily the most mainstream or popular choice, it accomplished the goal that client wanted, namely safety, and, you know, eliminate those downside market. You know, when the market's been strong for a period of time, and I've shared this several times in my career. I remember saying these things back in 2000 and in 2007, and again now. I don't know when the market's going to correct. I don't think anyone does. Gee, I'd like to know that person. And certainly don't know how long or how far, right? But one thing we can say, and we can all agree on, is there are market cycles, and you really have a choice. You can ride the next cycle, you know, ride the roller coaster down and then back up. Some people are fine with that. Others don't have the temperament, you know what I'm trying to say? The risk tolerance to really enjoy that ride, if you know what I'm trying to say. They stress out. There's a lot of stress involved for a lot of people. So to be able to get off the roller coaster, get off the ride, yet still make gains on your money when the markets are good, that's powerfully important. So why should you look at or consider an index annuity? One of the big reasons is downside market protection. In other words, if you put your money in one of these accounts and the market takes a drop, you don't participate. They guarantee the downside. Now, what I need to do, though, before I really get into how an index annuity really works. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, I've been on the advisory board of helping create a couple of index annuities over the last year or two with one of the major financial institutions in the country. So got a tremendous amount of experience with annuities and understanding how they work. And in the next segments, I'm going to teach you on what to look for, what to know. If you're going to, one, why should you look at one? Why should you consider it for your portfolio? And two, if you do consider it, what's a good one versus one that's not as competitive? Basically, I'm going to educate you and give you the information, because I know there's a lot of annuity providers out there, but give you the education to be able to comparison shop and know that you've got the tool, a competitive product, and one of the best out there, because, hey, if you're going to do it, you want the best one, right? To accomplish the goal that you're trying to accomplish. Find the best tool, right? So hang on. This next segment, we're going to go into that.
For more information on your personal bank, call Ference at 866-515-6280 or online at yourpersonalbank.com.
I want to invite you to a very special event. We're going to invite 8 to 10 people to participate in recording a Your Personal Bank show at the Money Radio studio. This event will be on Tuesday, March 24th at noon. If you're interested in joining us, contact us at yourpersonalbank.com. Remember, there's only 8 to 10 seats available in the studio, so hurry and get registered. We'll see you Tuesday, March 24th.
Back to Your Personal Bank Show with President and Founder of Secure Estate Management, Ference Toth.
Welcome back to Your Personal Bank Show. And again, we're doing something a little different today. We normally talk about the personal bank and the benefits and how that can work, access to cash, tax favored, all that good stuff that a personal bank can offer. But today we're going to talk about annuities. And the reason is a lot of people I talk to, when I talk individually, they're surprised that when I recommend other financial tools, and we offer other ones too. I'm just bringing the second one up to help people understand a little bit better what they are, why you should consider one, look at it, and then know some of the key questions to ask or look at, factors to determine whether you have one of the most competitive ones out there. Because just like any financial tool or any product of any kind, there are competitors, and there are some that are better than others, right? So I'm going to teach you and share with you how to know what to look for. See, my attitude is an educated consumer, an educated client becomes a client for life, because if they understand why, and I've given them the tools to know what to look for, somebody else can't come along and, say, hey, poach them, if you will. They become clients for life. And that's really what I like working with folks, helping them solve their financial challenges and goals throughout their lifetime. So let's jump on annuities. And again, remember, there's no such thing as a bad financial tool. It's a pet peeve of mine. When somebody says these are bad or that's bad or this is great, and make these categorical blanket statements, it's, again, sharing their bias. It's not advice. I talk about Your Personal Bank a lot. Is it for everyone? No. Should you consider it and look into it? Absolutely. And then we can determine together whether it makes a sense for you or not, okay? Well, an annuity is the same thing. And by the way, before we jump into that, you really need to understand when you state annuity, it can mean a lot of different things, because there's 4 or 5 different types of annuities out there. So are there some that are bad for your fit versus other? Absolutely, because, again, financial tools are exactly that. They're a tool. They're designed to accomplish a specific purpose, okay? And if that purpose fits your goal, great. Then that can be a great tool for you. If it doesn't fit your goal, it's like putting a round peg in a square hole, isn't it? It doesn't fit. It's not. And here's the problem I see a lot out there when I'm looking at statements and I meet with folks individually, and I'll ask them the questions and find out what they're wanting to accomplish in their goals. Far too often, I'm going to tell you, say easily 80% of the time, I find folks with one or more accounts that the account, it doesn't fit their goal. One or more of their accounts that they have just doesn't fit their goal. It may have fit at the time they started it, because, we have different stages of our financial life, right? Just like we have different stages of life. So our situation may have changed, but the tool didn't. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So that's the thing to understand and look at when you look at these things. Here's the thing. There's about 4 or 5 different types of annuities. The first one is what's called an annuitized annuity. So if you want to, jot this down, I'll share with you the several types. An annuitized annuity is basically, in other words, a certain amount of money was given to an insurance company. My mom was a retired school teacher, and that's a great example of an annuitized annuity. The state of Arizona took her age and her years of service in the actuarial calculation, and she has a benefit, her pension, right? And what they basically did is they gave an insurance company a certain amount of money, so the insurance company is guaranteeing a monthly check to her with cost of living increases for the rest of her life. She has no control over the money, and if you do an annuity, you can do a personal or a private annuitized annuity. In other words, you give an X amount of money to an insurance company, and they're going to guarantee a certain amount of payments to you, monthly typically, over a certain amount of time or the rest of your life, okay? You have no control over that money once you do it. It's a guaranteed payout, if you will. And there are certain people out there that look for that. The disadvantage, of course, is you have no control over the money. Once you lock it in, it's locked in for that time. Those payments are going to pay out for X amount of years or lifetime, whatever choices were made when you set it up, okay? Now, there's fixed annuities. Fixed annuities are basically an account, fixed deferred annuities, they call them. It's where you give an insurance company a certain amount of money at once or over time. And It grows at a certain fixed rate of return in terms of the rate, okay? The rates are higher than CDs typically, certainly currently. CDs aren't paying much of anything with current interest rates. And remember, I'm a chairman of the board of a bank in formation, so I'm very familiar with the banking world. The thing is, you got a fixed rate. You know what rate of return it's going to grow at, and then at some point in the future, you can start taking income payments from it. You can start taking payments. So you can let it ride, or you can take money from it. You're in total control. So that's one of the advantages there is you know what your rate of return is going to be because it's fixed, and you can take income from it at any given time, and you can decide how much that is. The other disadvantage to it, and this is the big knock on when somebody has a knock on annuities, most of those contracts allow 10% free withdrawal per year. It's pretty standard. So if you put in $100,000, let's say, you could access $10,000 a year plus whatever had grown. So if you did it after 1 year and it grew 5%, for example, you could take you could take 10% of what it's worth, right? And each year you wait, the amount it's worth is more because it's fixed. It's a guaranteed fixed type situation. You can structure, or if you have certain known amounts of income you need, a fixed annuity can work, can be a good fit. If you want to set up a certain specific income at some point and you have a hard number in mind, you can do that. Probably one of the most popular ones these days are fixed index annuities. That's what I'm going to talk about more in future. The fixed index works like the fixed. So remember, we have the annuitized annuity. That's like a pension payment. We have the fixed annuity. That's where it grows at a fixed rate of return. You can take income from it at any time in the future. Basically, there's limitations, 10% free withdrawals and things like that. But again, back up a second. The knock on that is, you only have access to 10%. I understand that. But again, it goes back to what's the purpose of this money? Are you trying to set up an income for yourself down the road at some point? Liquidity isn't as big of a concern on that bucket of money, if you will. And so sometimes people, like I said, knock on it because it doesn't have the liquidity. Well, for example, if you put half your money in a fixed annuity and half was in a mixed portfolio in the market, in most cases the portfolio has high percentage of liquidity, probably close to 100%. The annuity has 10% free withdrawals each year. Well, if you put your money split it half and half, you would still have access in a year of 60% of your money, wouldn't you? And one of the statements I make to folks all the time is that enough liquidity? Because remember, what's our goal here? Are we trying to maximize liquidity? Or are we trying to maximize or guarantee future income? You see what I'm trying to say? It's about the purpose, folks. It's not about whether this product is good or bad. All products have strengths and weaknesses. They have things they're better at than others. What annuities are good at is guaranteeing or locking in future income. By the way, why is that so important? Well, in the future, do we have income needs? Particularly in retirement, for example. Absolutely. Does it make sense to risk those needs that you're going to have? You're going to need a certain amount of money to live on, right? In the future, say in retirement. That's the most common example. You're going to have food, clothing, and housing, right? How much are you going to need for that? Well, that can be calculated using a reasonable rate of return and if it's fixed, guaranteed rate of return and an inflation factor. We can determine how much you're going to need in retirement. My question to you is, does it make sense to risk that known need? Does it make sense to put at risk that amount of money you're going to need? Why not lock it down and guarantee it? That's one of the strengths of an annuity. In the next segment, I'm going to talk more about fixed index annuities where you can get better returns and still have the guarantees, and then also talk about how you can maximize guaranteed payment checks, if you will. That's in the next segment. Stay tuned.
For more information on Your Personal Bank, call Ference at 866-515-6280 or online at yourpersonalbank.com. Back to Your Personal Bank Show with President and Founder of Secure Estate Management, Ference Toth.
Welcome back to the Your Personal Bank Show, and we're doing something a little different. We're talking about annuities today. And why? The reason's really simple. I get told, I focus on Your Personal Bank and the powerful benefits that it can offer, access to funds. You can get guaranteed growth. You have tax favored benefits. There's a lot of benefits to the personal bank, and it's a concept that's the information level that's out there is very low in comparison to a lot of other financial tools and products that are out there. But do we do other things? Absolutely. And what I'm trying to prevent is folks, when I talk to them individually and we look at their whole financial situation and make recommendations, a lot of the time, frankly, Your Personal Bank is a part of it and it makes sense and it's a great fit for them. And that's frankly the vast majority, but there's cases where it isn't, and other products or tools are a better fit, and we recommend those. And when that happens, or a mixture, okay, sometimes we're recommending two or more different options or solutions. And those sometimes they'll say, well, I'm surprised I didn't know you did these other things. And yes, we do. I've done them for 22 years, many of them. And one of the big ones that we do are annuities. And I know when I say that term, for some people, there's still a little bit of stigma to that. Not as much as there used to be. I've been dealing with those for over 20 years. When it was relatively unknown, the index annuity product in particular was relatively unknown. And so I was an early adopter, and a lot of our clients over the years have benefited from that, frankly, because it was the best financial tool and fit for them at that time. Why should you consider it? Well, I can say when I sit down with somebody, look at their financial situation and look at their statements and what their goals are and what they want to accomplish, easily, over 80% of the time, we find one or more accounts that does not fit their goals or doesn't fit it as well as it could. In other words, there's a better tool that would fit their goal better. Why is that? Well, let's face it. Our financial stages of life change, right? As we, go through life, just like anything, we have stages of life and we have different needs, goals, and stuff at those times. Circumstances change, folks get married, they have kids, they get divorced, they change jobs, start a business, they nearing retirement or become retired. They're retired. There's all kinds of different stages or changes that makes maybe the financial tools that person has maybe made sense at the time they started it, at the time they did it, but doesn't anymore. Or there's a much better solution today than there was then. And many of the times those accounts can be repositioned into a better situation, frankly, many times without penalties, costs, or even taxes. Again, it depends on the scenario, but a lot of the time we can do that. And it's worth taking a look at, particularly if you haven't looked at things for a while, or you've just kind of been doing the same thing for a long time. There's no secret the market's been great for the last decade. Does that mean the next decade's going to be equally or similar? Well, we all know there's cycles, right? Economic cycle, there always has been. I think it's a pretty safe bet there's going to be another one. The problem is nobody knows how much, how long, or when, right? And do you have a plan to mitigate that or protect it or reposition or have some of your assets, some of your portfolio protected from that? I was reading an article just the other day. It said over 25% of Americans with monies in IRA, 401ks are 100% in the stock market, including folks that are even retired. And as the statement in the article, and this was from MarketWatch, that those folks are in most cases, taking on way too much risk. And if a market cycle or correction occurs, they're going to suffer. Does it make sense to have assets and, as part of your assets in a non-correlated asset? I talk about that all the time. Putting that money in a separate bucket that isn't affected, for example, by the market cycles. Well, some of the annuities can do that. And let's talk about the different types, because when I say the word annuity, the problem is twofold. Some people say, they're bad, or this is bad, or that's bad. Again, it's a tool. A tool is neutral. A hammer is neutral. A hammer hammers nails. It doesn't cut wood. Okay, not very well. So understand there's different tools, financial tools, designed for different purposes. And there's many types of annuities. So let's clarify that for a minute. We started in the last segment. The first one is the annuitized annuity, which is one where a certain amount of money, either you or a company like my mom's retirement as a teacher, they gave an insurance company a certain amount of money, and that insurance company is guaranteeing a payment for the rest of her life with cost of living increases. She has no control over that money. She's just going to receive the monthly income. You can set one of those up privately. You can calculate, hey, I want to say, generate X amount of dollars income for the certain number of years or the rest of my life. Based on your age, you can set one of those up. And that's an annuitized annuity. The benefits, you're going to have a guaranteed certain amount of income coming in for the time frame or the rest of your life, whatever you set up. The disadvantages, no control over the money. It ain't going to change. It's permanent. Okay? So, again, great fit for some people, not so great for others. There's the fixed annuity. A fixed annuity has a guaranteed rate of return. You can let the money grow at a certain rate, a guaranteed rate, like a CD, for example. And so you know what your growth rate's going to be. It's locked in. And then at some point in the future, you can start taking income from it. And you can calculate, because of the guaranteed growth rate, how much you can access at year 1, 5, 10, whatever it is, for a certain period of time or the rest of your life. Okay? There's fixed index annuities. It's kind of an offshoot of the fixed annuity. The growth rate is based on an index. The most common one is, of course, the S&P 500. There are others. And what it means is basically in the fixed index annuities, your growth rate is going to be based on whatever the S&P 500 does with 3 factors in place. This is where sometimes a little of the confusion comes in, and I'm going to clarify for folks. There's 3 moving parts on a fixed index annuity. And as I was starting to say, I've worked with these for over 20 years. I was one of the top 10 producers with annuities multiple years in a row, with the number 1 or number 2 annuity provider in the country, depending on which quarter you looked at. So I've been one of the top 10 or 20 producers in this personally, sold tens of millions of dollars of this in my career, very familiar with this, and recently was on an advisory board helping create 2 new index annuity products. So I'm very, very familiar with these products and tools. Here's what you need to understand if you're looking at a fixed index annuity, which is one of the most popular today. You got to understand caps, rates, and fees. I'm going to touch on that a little bit later because I want to get into the last type of annuity that's commonly out there is a variable annuity. So remember, there's annuitized annuities. Guaranteed check, no control. But it's a guaranteed check for a certain number of years or the rest of your life. Fixed annuities, guaranteed growth rate, and you can create an income off of it, and it's because of the guaranteed growth rate, you can guarantee an income from it. You know how much it's going to be. There's the fixed index annuity. You grow the money based on an index. You can get double-digit returns in good market years, no losses on bad years. They protect the principal or guarantee the principal. And then the last one's a variable annuity. Those are basically subject to the market. Just like it sounds, it's variable, so it can vary in value. A variable annuity would work much like any other account out there or investment that's subject to market risk. It has potential upside, double digits, certainly upside, and it certainly has downside potential. Okay, so the benefit of a variable annuity is it's tax deferred. So you can take some monies that are not IRA or 401k type monies, you can grow them in the market, similar market risks, yet have some tax deferral. So that's the benefit of a variable annuity. You get the variability of the asset with the tax benefits. Again, which of those 4 makes sense for you, or any? It depends on your situation. In the last segment, I'm going to talk about and share with you the fixed index annuity parameters in terms of knowing whether I have a good one or not, if you're considering it or looking into it, and also how to maximize your growth and maximize guaranteed income if those are goals you want to try to accomplish.
For more information on your personal bank, call Ference at 866-515-6280 or online at yourpersonalbank.com.
I want to invite you to a very special event. We're going to invite 8 to 10 people to participate in recording a Your Personal Bank show at the Money Radio studio. This event will be on Tuesday, March 24th at noon. If you're interested in joining us, contact us at yourpersonalbank.com. Remember, there's only 8 to 10 seats available in the studio, so hurry and get registered. We'll see you Tuesday, March 24th.
Back to Your Personal Bank Show with President and Founder of Secure Estate Management, Ference Toth.
All right, we're rounded third. Welcome back to Your Personal Bank Show. And today we're doing something a little different. We're focusing on annuities. If you want to learn more about Your Personal Bank, of course, go to some of the previously recorded shows, yourpersonalbank.com or the Your Personal Bank app. You can also like us on Facebook and LinkedIn and check out those previously recorded shows where we share the benefits and Your Personal Bank and how it works. The thing I'm talking about annuities today because I usually talk about the personal bank because there's the amount of knowledge out there in general is much more limited than these other products, but financial products. But as I say to people all the time when I meet with them individually, it's like they're surprised when I recommend other solutions that may or may not include the personal bank. To be fair, the majority of folks we meet with, the vast majority, it is a benefit. It's a good fit, and they employ it as a financial tool. But, often there's other financial tools we use. And again, it's all about what's the best fit. As I always say, a hammer is great at hammering nails, not at cutting wood. You want to use a saw for that, right? And easily, as I've shared this a couple of thoughts already, easily 80% of the time or more, when I sit down with somebody individual, ask them their goals, what they want to accomplish, one or more of their accounts that they currently have is not a good fit for them at that time. It may have been when they started, but their financial stage in life has changed, or their situation has changed, or their goals have changed. So it's worth taking a look at periodically to make sure you've got your money's working for you the best possible way to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And many times for a lot of folks, an annuity can be one of those tools that can be a fit. Why? Well, one of the biggest benefits, strengths of an annuity, like any financial tool, by the way, they're agnostic. They're not good. They're not bad. They're designed for specific purposes. That's one of the things I try to help people get over is get over the emotion of the name, look at what it does, and then see if it's a good fit or not. Because there's people out there still, unfortunately, saying, well, annuities are bad or other products are bad or this is great. Those blanket statements aren't advice. They're just bias. Okay? The thing is, for a lot of folks, annuities can be a great fit, and here's why. First of all, there's several different types. There's what's called an annuitized annuity. That's where a chunk of money is given to an insurance company, but either yourself or through your employer, perhaps, like my mom is as a school teacher, and they give a check monthly for a certain period of time or the rest of your life. In my mom's case, guaranteed income for her life with cost of living increases. It's an annuitized annuity. There's no control of the money, but you just get that income. And if you're looking for a guaranteed income, that can be a good fit. Okay. Fixed annuities allow the money to grow at a fixed rate, a guaranteed rate. You can calculate how much income you can create because the growth rate is fixed. So if you have a fixed need of a certain amount of income, a fixed annuity can be a great fit. Why would that be? Well, when we retire, there's a certain amount of income we know we're going to need, right? You need clothing, food, housing, right? And you can calculate those costs, those basic costs, use a cost of living adjustment, inflation factor, whatever, and determine what that amount is. Does it make sense? Question I ask often, does it make sense to risk that amount, knowing you're going to need that money? For some people, the answer is no, and they like to lock that down. By the way, if you lock down that income you know you're going to need, could you take the rest of your portfolio and be a little more aggressive? Because you know you have your fixed needs taken care of, your fixed expenses covered. You could. So you could end up being in a better position by thinking of your money holistically at the whole picture, not just saying, well, I have to have all my money in one place. Okay? Typically, that doesn't make a lot of sense. You want to diversify, or, as I put it, have non-correlated assets. An annuity certainly can be that. By the way, Your Personal Bank is too, many times a non-correlated asset. The other one is a fixed index annuity. Works like the fixed annuity, except the growth rate is based on an index. Now, the index typically, most commonly, is S&P 500. There's others. And what that does is it allows for growth in most cases on good market years with no risk, no losses on bad market years. In other words, they protect the principal or guarantee the principal. And you can lock in a guarantee, an income, if you will, in the future based on how much it's grown, has higher upside potential. The last one is a variable annuity. A variable annuity, just like it sounds, can vary in value. It can go up and down based on markets, okay, usually invested in indexes, and the amount you're going to have is variable. Now, it has some tax deferral involved, so tax deferral benefits can be a reason to use an annuity. Again, it just depends on what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. The main purposes the ones I deal with most folks in most cases is the fixed index annuity. And that's sort of the one that's become really popular out there. It's because it has that potential of gains in good market years and no risk in the down years. And it becomes a non-correlated asset, or a guaranteed asset at least, in that way. Now, why is that so important? Well, I've got an article here from Craig Israelson, PhD, and the title of that article is The Math of Gains and Losses. If you're interested in this article, contact us at yourpersonalbank.com and I'll send it to you. It's very interesting. What he's done, he's a mathematician, PhD, and he's determined what's the math of recovery from a portfolio loss. For example, if you have a 20% loss in a particular year, and that's considered a normal correction, you can't make 20% the following year and be back to even. Because if you have $100,000, for example, and you have a $20,000 loss, or 20% loss, you would have a $20,000 loss, or you'd have $80,000 left, right? And if you had 20% return on that money the next year, you'd have 20% return on $80,000, not the original 100, right? In other words, to get back to even, you would need a 25% gain to get back to the 100. So if you lost 20 one year, you'd have to make 25 the next, and you would be back to even. You didn't make anything. You'd just be back to even. I'm going to take this thought further because losses hurt more than people realize. And by the way, a great book to read by Warren Buffett, Snowball, is a great book that talks about that a lot, the impact of losses. If you have a 35% loss, for example, in a year or multiple years, you need a 53% gain to get back to even. And as he points out, never has the S&P 500 ever returned over 50% in a year. So you would have multiple years to get back to even. Here's another way to look at it. To restore a 10% loss, you need 11.11% gain to get back to even. Because remember, there's less money after the loss. So whether the loss is 10, 20, 35%, or any number, it doesn't matter. The gain, the road to recovery, has to be bigger than the loss just to get even. So you didn't make money, you just got to even. Well, an index annuity can avoid all this. In other words, you don't take that 10% loss or that 20% loss on your money. Then the following year, if the index goes up, you get credited interest. Well, that gets really interesting because when the market takes a drop, you don't participate in the drop. And then when it moves up, you take advantage of the gain up. That's how an index annuity works. When you calculate that in the normal market cycles that occur year in, over the years, many times, I've had many clients over the years that you take a decade or two period and you take some, those down market years in consideration, they actually have more money in their account because they did not participate in the down years. And lots of people try to time the market and do all those kinds of things. They want to catch that bounce, right? Well, here's a way for all of your money to be protected, and then you can catch the bounce. Tune in every Tuesday to Your Personal Bank Show on 1510 AM or 105.3 FM.
Listen next week at noon for more information on Your Personal Bank. Contact Ference at 866-515-6280 or online at yourpersonalbank.com.
Index annuities offer a fixed interest option and index interest options. Annuities with index options may be referred to as equity index annuities. The index options are not securities. You are not investing in stocks or in the indexes themselves. Credited interest does not include dividends paid by companies included in the relevant index. The credited index rate is linked, in part, to gains in any combination of indexes. You are not actually participating in the market or investing in any stock or bond. Index strategies may not be available in all states. Withdrawals may be taxable, and if taken prior to age 59 and a half, a 10% penalty tax may also apply.